3 o'clock, and then a 4 o'clock. That should be fine. Oh, hi. Welcome into the shop. What can I do for you? Well, you're in luck. I'm actually the piercer here, and I have some free time until 3. Okay, so were you looking to get a piercing? Or... okay, that actually works out even better then, because I actually have stretched ears, so I'm the perfect person to talk to, even if I wasn't the piercer. Okay, so your ears are pierced though, correct? Okay, good. And how long have you had those? Since you were a baby. Okay, that's good actually, because we never recommend stretching a fresh piercing. Actually, the minimum we suggest is 6 months on a new piercing. Yeah, it sucks. Some people, they've never had their ears pierced, and then they just decide that they want to stretch their ears, and they're really bummed out when we tell them that. Of course, you know, some people, they go on ahead and it works out fine, but a lot of people run into complications. So it's good that yours are pierced. Okay, so do you know anything about stretching your ears? No? Okay. Well, it's good that you came in then, because there's a lot of helpful information online, but it's always best to consult a professional when it comes to your body. Like, you, even with something like your ear, you always want to be as careful as you can be. So, since you don't really know anything about it, I'm gonna try to break it down, like all the different things, sizes, stretching, the actual stretching process, materials you can use, aftercare, stuff like that, if you have the time. No, it's no problem. If you have the time, then I have the time. Okay, so a standard ear piercing is between 16 to 20 gauge, usually 18 or 20, but over time they naturally stretch out. So if you've had your ears pierced since you were a kid, you can probably just go ahead and jump to a 14 gauge stretch. Yeah, most stretching kits start around that area anyway. Yeah, so let me see. I should have right here. We have stretching kits here at the shop. If you decide you want to go through with it and you're interested, I can show you those. So we always recommend that you stretch with steel tapers. Other materials they're commonly made out of is like acrylic, and we don't, or even just plastic in general. We don't recommend that. You need something that you can keep really sterile, because it is going to be, it shouldn't bleed or anything. If it's bleeding, stop, but it can, it is an open wound, so you always want to keep things as sterile as possible. Okay, and so you can see these are the tapers. They're very easy to put in the smaller end, and you just it's crazy that this is where we all start, really. But so you insert the smaller end and you just slide it through. The best time to stretch is after a really hot shower, because the tissue, it expands, it loosens up a lot in the heat. And then you should always use a lube, a water-based lube or water-based lotion, or even an oil like jojoba or vitamin E. You want to make the insertion as smooth as possible. You don't want there to be any friction. Yeah, so these are really small, and these may go in, no problem, but we never recommend skipping sizes. Even if it feels like this is super easy, your body's still not used to it, So you shouldn't just go straight to 12 gauge just because this went in easy. It should be easy. It should never hurt. Slight tension is fine, but it should never hurt. And so this is the taper or eyelet for 14 gauge. And you can see it is super tiny. And I know when you're first starting out, it can be dissatisfying to put in stuff that just still looks like regular jewelry, but it's important that you start slow, that you always go slow, truly. So this is would be your first stretch, and then you always want to stretch you always want to wear single flared jewelry after your stretches, or when you get to the bigger sizes, if you're stretching with your jewelry, you still want it to be single flare, which just means like how this front has a front to keep it from going through your ear, but the back is flat, so your ear's not having to stretch over anything. Okay, so do you understand? Okay, just let me know if I'm going too fast. So that was the 14 gauge. That would be your first stretch, and you can do it yourself, or you can always come into the shop. It's no problem. We won't charge you for the stretching if you buy jewelry, yes, but as long as you bought your kit here, we will stretch them for free. Yeah, and it's not hard at all, but a lot of people do feel more comfortable just leaving it in the hands of someone else. Right, okay, so that was 14, and then you would go to 12. Let me find those. Okay, yes. So this is the 12 baggie, and your first several jumps, actually I think from 16 gauge all the way up to 8 gauge, are half a millimeter or less in jumping. So let me get these out. So these are just minutely larger. And I think I said you always want to wait 1 to 2 months minimum. Obviously we suggest 2 months or longer, but everyone's body is different. Some people's ears are more elastic than others, and they just take to the new jewelry really quickly, and then they'll be loose or they'll fall out, and so you can go ahead and move up at that point, but always go as slow as you can possibly go, because your ears will thank you for it. They'll remain thick and healthy. Yeah, because what happens when you stretch too fast, if you force in a taper that's too tight, it may not bleed, but you're creating micro tears in your skin that over time are going to thin out your ears because they're never going to heal properly. And so then your skin, it can't thicken up right there, and it's just going to get thinner and thinner on the bottom. I don't know if you've ever seen someone with really big ears, but then the skin, you can barely see the bottom part of their skin underneath their tunnel or plug, but that's what happens. And also you could get a blowout, or what they call cat butt, which is when you force in a taper that's just too big and it pushes the excess skin through the back of your ear, and they can be healed over time, but the same as anything else, it's gonna cause permanent scar tissue that may never look right and can affect your ability to stretch past a certain limit. Okay. Sorry if I'm going too fast. I get really excited about this stuff. So these are your 12s, and this would be your 12 jewelry. So you can see it's just the teeniest little bit bigger. Still can't see anything through it, but well, maybe just the tiniest little bit, but it's not noticeable when it's in, unfortunately. if you're anything like me, I was so impatient. I just wanted to be bigger and bigger. So that's 12. And then you would go to 10. I'm not going to take every single one out, but it's such a slight, you can see, such a slight difference. Super subtle. And then from 10, you would go to 8. So you can see you're getting a little thicker here. The tunnels are a little thicker, or your eyelids. Okay. And then from 8 to 6 gauge, because your first set of stretching, they go in gauges. So your 8 to 6 is your first 1 millimeter jump. Yeah, so it's usually not too bad because it is still a small size. But some people do struggle with this one because some people's ears are just resistant to stretching. Mine were. I would wait, a month and a half to even the 2 months, and it would hurt, and I have to wait even longer. Which actually, my ears were really bad about that at my small sizes, which is when it's usually the easiest for people. But the larger I went, the easier it got. So I don't know if my ears were just stubborn at first, and then they got on board with what we were doing, but you can see this is significantly larger than the one I showed you before. So this is your 6 gauge, which is 4 millimeters. And so your 8 gauge would have been 3 millimeters. So this is quite a big jump. You can see you're starting to get that, like a hump in the tunnel, or excuse me, the taper. Yeah. And I'll show you. And this is actually the spot where you can start wearing something other than the eyelets that come with it, but you can see that there's a good gap in this size, so this one's exciting for people. This is actually one of the first sizes that a silicone tunnel can really work for you. I love silicone, it's so comfortable. So see, it's just a little baby guy, but it's one of the first sizes that I ever wore anything besides my eyelids at. And a lot of people, when they're stretching, they don't buy jewelry for their in between sizes because that's not where they're gonna stop. And good quality jewelry, it can be expensive, but I think it's worth it. Just spend a couple bucks, get a silicone pair. They're much more comfortable to sleep in, and they stay in better. But you never want to stretch with silicone, and you never want to insert silicone until your ears are healed. So probably at least 2 weeks after your initial stretch. It's going to be different for everyone, but a week and a half, 2 weeks, no pain and no tenderness, and you should be good to go for inserting something else that's not steel. Okay, so we go from 6 to 4. Let's see that. You can see here they are significantly bigger, and then also you can wear silicone at this size too. And then from 4 to 2, it's a nice, these couple gauge sizes right here at the end before you get to 00, you do actually start noticing some significant difference, even though your ear is only that millimeter bigger. It seems to be better for some reason. So for 4, like this and like this. Okay, and so then once you're at 2, you're at 6 millimeters, and your next size would be 0 gauge. And that is your first, it's your first 2 millimeter jump, because you're going from 6 millimeters to 8 millimeters. So it's a big jump. It's this one is one that gives people a lot of problems. It's a lot for your ears. Not everyone, some people have super elastic ears and they have no problem. They just breeze through all the sizes. But I do remember this one being a bit of a bitch for me, honestly. So this is your taper, and I think one of the things that makes this a more difficult stretch is because in most kits, and even in the kit we carry here at the shop, the tapers, I don't know why I keep confusing them, they are not as long, and it's kind of a harsh jump right here from this to the just poof, right, and so it can be difficult for your ear. But this is your eyelet or tunnel for that size. You can see it's big. It's really big for, when you're first stretching, you're like, oh my god, look at that. So, and the thing, like I said before, you just slowly push it through your ear. And if you have problems getting your jewelry in, which I always did, my ears, you can leave your tapers in for 30 minutes and then try to put your jewelry in. Never leave your tapers in longer than an hour or so, though. Some people will wear their tapers as jewelry, but it's a horrible idea because you put it in and then it's gonna sag down like this with the weight of it, and it can make your ear stretching uneven. So push it through like this. Line up your jewelry. I don't know if you can see. And then just push your jewelry into your ear. Like, don't pull the taper out. Like, have the jewelry push the taper out. It can be tricky still. But like I said, just give it that half hour and try again. Because my ears were always really resistant. And this is what a silicone tunnel for that size would look like. And I know a lot of people struggle with getting these in at smaller sizes. So a trick is to hold it like, okay, so again, let me just show you. Put it to the back of your ear with just your thumb. And then, like you're holding a cigarette. Push it through and have your two front fingers stabilizing. And then you just push it through. And what it does is these front pieces will bend back and allow it to be smaller. And then they'll pop through on the other side. And it shouldn't hurt. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it shouldn't hurt. If your ears are healed, which they should be before you put any kind of silicone in, it shouldn't hurt. Just make sure you lube them up really good and massage them beforehand. Okay, so that was 0 gauge. And then from 0 to 00 is another 2 millimeter jump. So, let me show you. These are significantly bigger. It honestly seems like more than a 2 millimeter jump. It's quite a lot. So this is your taper for that size. And this is your eyelet. So it's big. It is 10 millimeters. And at this point, this is when we recommend that you stop using tapers, because every size after this is at least 2 millimeters. I'm pretty sure it's more than a millimeter. So there are a couple options for what you can do at that point. You can wear weights, which I don't recommend because at that size, like, weights put an uneven distribution of pressure on your ear, and if you're wearing something that's pulling down on your ear, you can get thinning at the bottom of your lobe. So I don't recommend that. You can dead stretch, which sounds scary, but is basically you just wait. So you wear your jewelry, whatever size that may be, 00 probably, and so you just wait, and then so your next size after 00 would be 7/16, which is 11 millimeters, and some people like to consider those half sizes, but they're not. Don't forget about the 16ths. It's still a millimeter jump. It's a stretch, so don't forget about those. So you're ready to go to 7/16. You buy the jewelry, single flare jewelry like the tunnels I showed you. A lot of people at this point prefer to stretch with glass, so you'll buy a pair of glass plugs and you'll just try to push them in, and if it goes in, great, you're there, you're at your next size. And if it doesn't, then you put your old jewelry back in and you just wait. Wait however long, a couple more weeks, another month. It just depends. And this is for people with patience, because it can be discouraging if you're not doing anything to move the process along. Your ears can take a while to be ready. But a good rule of thumb to know when it might be a good time to try to change sizes is if you pull your plug down and you can see light coming through, which I don't know, you see that? Like a little gap? Then you're probably ready to go to the next size. But if it's still tight, you can't see anything, then just wait. And if you're like me and you have stubborn ears, the third option that you can do is what they call taping. So with taping, let me just grab that 00 gauge set and show you. Okay, so with taping, you would stay at the size you were at, 00, and you would buy tape. And now you don't want to just use any kind of tape. You do want to use something that's non-adhesive. So like bondage tape is good, PTFE, which is plumber's tape. Those are two of the options that we recommend because they only stick to themselves. So I actually have some. This is PTFE tape. This is the most accessible. If you have a sex shop where you're from, you could go in and get bondage tape, but if you're too embarrassed to do that, then you'd have to order it online and wait. But this you can get anywhere. You can get it at any hardware store, Walmart, anywhere, and it's like $1. And it has this white tape on the inside, and it's really thin. You can see, super thin. So you would just tear off a piece, however much you think. You can try one wrap, see if it still goes in. If you still have room, wrap it another time or another. I usually did several wraps. So what you do is you stick it on the tunnel like so, and then you just wrap it around. You know, this is enough to go around about 2 times. So it's see how it only sticks to itself, it doesn't stick to you at all. So that's what it looks like. Then you have, and then now you just have this most micro difference in size. So this is good. You change the wrapping or wrap again every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on your ears. And so then you're always slowly getting bigger, and it's really gentle on your ears. And that's so once you're wrapping and you're wrapping and you're wrapping and you're wrapping and you're wrapping, once your tape is meeting your flare at the front here, they're lined up. Generally, that means you're at about the neck size, because the flare at the front of any jewelry is usually the next size up to keep it from popping through your ear. So that's how you tape. It's what I recommend. If you're not gonna dead stretch, then tape. Don't ever force anything into your ear that doesn't want to go. And like I mentioned before, always stretch with a single flare. These are double flared, which means they have a flare on the front, they have a flare on the back. You can see the middle is indented. These are only for once your piercing or your newly stretched ear is healed, and it's been healed for several weeks and has started to loosen up some, because like I said, the flare is always like the next size up to keep it from falling out. So you never want to force in a double flare on a new stretch. So keep that in mind. Okay, so like I said, after that, there's several more sizes all the way up to an inch. There's 7/16, half an inch, 9/16, 5/8, so on and so on. I'm at 9/16, so if you see, it's a significant hole. 9/16 is 14 millimeters, and an inch is 25 millimeters. So just keep that in mind, the sizes in between. I plan on, I think, stopping at 5/8, so one more stretch for me, and that'll be 16 millimeters. Yeah, I think it's a nice size. I mean, I like the bigger sizes, but for me, these are still comfortable. They don't bother me when I sleep, and I know that's a complaint for a lot of people at larger sizes, especially if you're not wearing silicone. If you're wearing metal tunnels, they really push into your head and stuff. So, are you still with me? Okay. So, also, as far as stretching, never stretch with silicone, because even though there is no blood or anything, it is a new piercing. I keep saying piercing. It is an open wound, and silicone can adhere to your skin, so can wood, and then it's just a horror story. Don't do it. Only wear silicone and wood once your ear is healed. Always stretch with either steel or glass. Okay. And as far as maintenance of your ears goes, you always want to moisturize. Same thing, like I said, when you're stretching, lotion, water-based lube, oils, even Vaseline, anything really is better than nothing. You want to keep your ears healthy and moisturized so that they stretch better, they heal better, they look better. It's important. And as far as cleaning goes, you don't have to do anything crazy. Just pop them out when you're in the shower, give your lobes a rinse, give your jewelry a rinse, and then just pop them back in. Yeah, I've always, you hear people talk about stinky ears, but it's like, if you're taking care of them properly, they should not stink. So, anything else? I've been talking forever, but I just want to make sure I cover all my bases. Oh, another tip. Acrylic jewelry is very popular and it's very cheap, but if you do decide to wear it, only for short periods of time, because acrylic warms up with your body heat, and it can release the plastic toxins that are in the jewelry into your body. And the same as everything else, not everyone is affected by it, but those that are, it can be a really bad time. It can cause infections, and then you might have to downsize. So if you wear it, wear it for the night out, not every day, not all night long. Okay. So I think that's it. We've covered your tapers, the stretching sizes and process, what to do, what not to do, how to take care of your ears. So I'm sure I've overwhelmed you with information, and so if you need to take some time to think about it, that's totally fine. You can call into the shop at any time and we can set you up an appointment to do your first stretch for you. Or you can purchase the kit, take it home, and do your stretches yourself. It's dealer's choice. So what were you thinking? You think you want to go ahead with it? Okay, cool. So, did you want to have your stretching done here, or did you just want to buy the kit and take it home? Okay, yeah, doing it here, that's no problem. I mean, you can always do your first couple here, and then once you're more comfortable and familiar with it, do the rest at home, and it's totally up to you. But like I said, it's no problem for me to do it, or for the other piercer, Chris, to do it if he's here and I'm not. Yeah, he's great too, and his ears are also stretched, so you can feel comfortable with him. Okay, great. So, did you want to do it now or set up an appointment for a later time? Okay, yeah, we can set up your appointment for anytime throughout this week, whenever. Friday, okay. Let me put that in my book. Friday. What time works best for you? Several appointments early in the day, but any time after lunch is good for me. You want to do one? Okay. 1. So first stretch. And what's your name? You want to spell that for me? Do you want to go ahead and get the kit now, or just wait until next time? Okay, just wait. You want to, yeah, you need to get paid first. Trust me, I know how that is. So, Friday at 1, you come in, you buy your kit, we'll clean your ears, and then we'll do the stretch, and you'll be good to go. And you can take the jewelry with you, and then just bring it in every time you come in after that. Okay, well, it was really nice to meet you, and I can't wait to see you Friday. I'm excited for you. Okay, well, have a good rest of the day, alright? Alright, I'll see you then.